Look up in the sky. Is it a cryptovoxel bird? Yes, it is, but it's also Amber, who is going to press F and very quickly fall down to us.
Oh my God.
It's okay. It's okay, Amber.
Yes.
We're going to be here. We're going to catch you when you fall.
Me.
I got you. All right, press F and start to fall down towards us.
I'm coming. There we go.
There you go. Woo. Worrying, but is she going to die? No, she's alive. She's actually alive.
Still alive.
So one of the two of you are a beautiful camera person. So we greatly appreciate the audiovisual team. But I think this is Amber, and very nice to properly meet in CryptoVoxels. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am very good. Well, we've talked several times about digital fashion and about beauty, and you know, you've started in actually working in physical fashion. But maybe tell me how you made the transition from physical to digital and what you think that unlocks with fashion.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, I started in traditional fashion, and I really didn't like the way that things were done, because of the environmental reasons. So there were a lot of things that I didn't like, and that I felt like were really not okay with the way that we were living as human beings. Plus, our lives are becoming more digital every single day.
Yeah.
And I thought it was weird that fashion wasn't really in that world. So, gaming as a kid, I always felt very natural to be in virtual environments. And I think, like for me, it was weird that there was no connection between those. So yeah, I started to explore like what is my identity, and like how can that be represented in the virtual space. And I learned how to use 3D software to create clothes. Which I thought was, I sort of taught everything myself because at school it was like not really accepted, or there was no real space for it, which is just why I took like half a semester off to do some other things and some more research. And then I started creating 3D clothes and wanted to graduate with a digital only collection. And all my teachers said, like, you're crazy. Like, why would you do that? Fashion and gaming is so not, you have to touch clothing, you have to feel it. And yeah, I always felt like that was
that must be a huge problem for people. But do some people embrace the kind of impossible fashion, like fashion that wouldn't work in the physical world? Like, how are you a big fan of that, or how do you think about that possible fashion?
Yeah, I think like, why would you replicate reality, right? Like, I think walking through this world is really exciting because you can literally create anything, yet there's still brick walls, and that really is sort of like, that annoys me. I'm like, we can do all these kind of really cool things. So for me, like, walking in, really like creating garments that don't exist in real life, or that could not really exist in real life, is way more exciting than creating garments and copying them and creating like virtual versions of them, because we can do so much more. Imagine you have a dress that's like dragging 10 meters behind you. Normally, this would get caught in any sort of metro, or whatever sort of thing you're traveling with, or with your bike. In Amsterdam, a bike everywhere. So that's just not possible. And in virtual space, identity doesn't limit to just your body. It can limit to far around you, far behind you. Which I think is a really interesting concept. Identity becomes like a space around you.
Well, I don't know if we consider this impossible fashion, or not impossible fashion, but impossible architecture. But this is kind of cute. Christmas tree.
It's kind of cute.
This feels like Europe. I feel like we've gone. Because Europe, because America has Thanksgiving, Christmas gets celebrated much later. But in a lot of Europe, I don't know if you were already starting to see Christmas decorations, but certainly in London, like 2nd September rolls around, like Christmas is starting to be everywhere.
And it's crazy.
Which I guess I love, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw Balenciaga working with Fortnite and like obviously clothes and video games. Like how do you think about that self-expression in the gaming world, or do you feel kind of disconnected from the game side? You're more around the kind of um, the beauty of the piece, or yeah, how do you think about that?
Well, I think in general, like if we can't wear the clothes in virtual spaces, like what are we creating them for, right? So for me, it's like really about creating wearables that we can wear into these virtual spaces. Like right now, me having this sort of little avatar, it doesn't really feel like me. It feels
Of
like
course,
I'm, sort of embodying
you're
it, but it's
literally
not
called anonymous, and it's
exactly.
so there you
I'm
are.
called anonymous. I can't really express myself the way I usually do. I can only do that with my voice. But it's not really me, let's say. And I think within games, it's super important to have like a representation of you if you want to walk around in worlds, right? I mean, it shouldn't even, it doesn't even have to be you per se, like the way you look in reality, but it can be like an expression of you. And I think that is really exciting to have that self-expression. And I think that should definitely be linked to games. I think the collaboration between Balenciaga and Fortnite is great because it creates that new relationship between luxury, fashion, and gaming. And I now hope that they're also going to cut some of their physical garments because why else would you go into the digital world? I think
From an
it's not
environment.
about creating
Yeah.
and like they if they would skip some physical garments, that would make me even happier. But unfortunately, it's now very cool to be in a video game. So I think like it's I think it's really good to keep on reminding ourselves why we come here in the first place in this virtual world. It's not because of course it's cool, but it's also really saving
Well,
environmental
now
impact.
yeah, do you see a future where we're sort of all in the physical world, we're in these sort of potato sacks, and we just don't care so much about how we look physically. We're just focusing on comfort. And in the virtual world, that's where we kind of really express ourselves, both through avatars and through digital fashion. Like, could you see a world where, I mean, I'm noticing that I
Yeah,
spent a good amount on my CryptoPunk, and I'm looking out on a Mini, my car, which is like literally 10 years old, is actually falling apart, has like a pretty major piece missing. And I don't understand psychologically why I'm more interested in the digital than the physical. But it really is true. Like I could
it is
certainly
really
see a
true.
world where like I would not care anymore what clothes I wore outside of in the
Yeah,
digital world. Like I don't know, how do you think
yeah.
about that?
I mean, like clothes are have two functions, right? One is the fact that it keeps you warm, and the other is the fact that it expresses who you are as a person. And if we take those two apart, like if you can express yourself fully in the virtual world, like I think in reality it would be great to sort of have a sort of suit, let's say like a smart suit that measures your temperature, that's just very comfortable, that notices what nutrients you need, like it's sort of like a suit that
Oh my
really
God.
encompasses your body and it's like very nicely sort of like giving you all the things that you need to know about yourself. And then in the virtual world, you would really be able to express yourself fully, but also maybe in the real world having an AR layer over yourself. So you'd be able to
Amber,
wear your CryptoPunk on your
so
face
crazy.
in reality as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the AR stuff is super cool. So that we, in reality, you're right, that we would maybe wear a piece of clothing that, is very neutral, but the AR filter is kind of showing who we are. I've been wondering a lot
Exactly.
about how avatars are connected to fashion, in that, obviously we haven't been able to change our face, so it's never really occurred to people that whatever plastic surgery or all that is like connected to fashion anyway. But if fashion is self-expression, could you see packs of both clothing and avatar face that kind of come together, like they're sort of a suit that you wear?
Yeah, and bodies, like what about
Hmm.
expressing yourself in different bodies or
Yeah,
those kind of things? I think
different
it's sort of a
species.
different species. Maybe you want to be a dinosaur the whole day because you feel like that.
Love
Like
that. And
that's
then see, yeah, I think you're right with
um,
Balenciaga and with the other. They're just not thinking that far into it. There is a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, it all looked very nice, but it was still, as you say, quite similar to what already
yeah.
exists.
And I think, like, you're designing for digital, so why not create something that really couldn't be possible? Because
Yeah.
that's really more exciting. And then you can also create a sort of effect of, oh, hey, we really cannot have that in the physical world, so let's go more digital.
Now, one thing that is true of both the physical world and the digital world is that apparently I had no sense of direction, and that I thought I was just going deeper and deeper. We basically ended up exactly where we started, which is my normal experience of walking. Is that I'm like, God, I've made a lot of progress. I don't know how long it's going to take to get home, and then like I turn a corner and I'm just back where I started.
I love that.
So yeah, slightly embarrassing. Here's some procedural art. I don't know what you
Great.
thought about AI creating fashion. Like, you touched any of that kind of
Oh,
stuff?
yes, I've already done that. That was actually the
My
first
God.
collection we released in 2018, in which I worked together with a professor who had an algorithm, and we loaded in pictures of Paris Fashion Week, and we let the algorithm run and create
No,
new
that's
designs
so
out of
interesting. I
those.
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, and that the collection was born out of that. So I took the images that most inspired me, and then I created 3D models out of those. So basically, that me and the algorithm sort of, we worked together on it, and I can't take the full credit for the collection. It's actually the algorithm and me that designed it together. Which is why sometimes very unconventional shapes, but I got super inspired by that. So yeah, I think AI can be a great help in designing stuff, and thinking about unconventional shapes that normally
Mm.
you wouldn't have chosen.
Well, now, what do we think about CryptoPunks? Have you kind of gotten into this world? Obviously, I'm biased since I have this tag, but
Yeah,
yeah, how do you sort of think about this explosion around profile pictures?
I think it's great because it shows like how much profile pictures actually are a part of your identity. Like, I think nobody really realized how much actually we get represented with our picture in places, because it's the only way we could be represented. And suddenly when you see someone with a different profile picture, like a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape or anything like that, it suddenly is like, oh, this person is part of this group. This person has like this sort of this item. It's a status symbol, which is also very much what fashion is, in a sense. Like, if you wear a Rolex, that says something about you, right? If you wear, and I think like the same it goes for CryptoPunks and Bored Apes. Like, I don't think it was meant to be that, but I think because it became so scarce, now you can wear them and they can become part of your identity. And it sort of it crystallizes you and as a human being, because it's really funny how within these little tiny pixels, I'm still able to recognize you, right? And because I know you, but like obviously it's like it's just really funny how this abstraction of identity can somehow become something people really want to experience. But I think it's less about the abstraction. It's more about the community around it. So if you're a part of it, you're part of the community, and then you can, if you're part of the sort of we have all kinds of groups like the Purple Cap group, like and you're part of those kind of CryptoPunk Purple Cap initiative. And I think the communities, I think, are the most interesting thing where people can connect to each other. And that's the same in fashion. Like, if you're wearing punk clothing, and you see another punk, you're like you're both punkers, so you understand each other's language, right? So in that sense, I think it's kind of ironic that CryptoPunks is called CryptoPunks, because it does really embody that sort of subculture vibe that I think that is in fashion too.
Well, now I have a couple of questions from the audience. One is just, how do I get involved in digital fashion?
Oh yeah, so if you want to get involved, you can go to the Fabricant studio, and there you can actually become one of the co-creators on our new digital fashion platform, where you'll be able to co-create garments with us. So there's several designers that actually go and design items for the platform, and there's several fabric designers that will design fabrics. And you, as a co-creator, if you want to join, you can create your own unique version of those garments, and you can wear them in the metaverse. So the idea is that we'll all co-create garments together. It's a massive co-collaborative effort, because we're not the ones deciding on what everybody should wear. Everybody should be deciding that themselves. So we just want to create like the tools for every creator to be able to express and sell and wear and trade their digital fashion. So if you want to get involved, you can get to the Fabricant studio and sign the pledge, and then yeah, you can become a part of our Discord community, and yeah, we can onboard you onto the platform.
Another is, do you think physical fashion design is a good grounding for digital fashion design?
I think it's needed, because if we create all kinds of blobs that doesn't refer to anything, like, people won't really emotionally connect to it. At least that's not been my experience. So how I see it is that it's always very good to reference things from the past, and to reference certain things that make sense with a beautiful sort of new interpretation. But there's literally no future without history. So for me, it's always really important to have that sort of recognizable point, yet translating it into something that really cannot exist. And that, I think, creates the emotional resonance. Otherwise, it doesn't become very realistic. And yeah, people cannot really connect to it as much, because you want that sensory richness, let's say, which is why we love beautiful things so much, is because it's sensory and we can experience it in a very rich way. So I think the past and the physical clothes are very important in the digital world. Yet I think we can take it much, much further creative wise, and set garments on fire and all these kind of things. Like, there's all these crazy things that you really can't do in reality, and or maybe even gamifying clothes, right? So imagine I'm wearing a dress and you're wearing a dress, and suddenly our dresses become intertwined, and we have to play a game to get out of it. Right? So these things they really can't happen in physical world, but in digital world, it becomes a social interaction, and it can become like a gamified experience. So yeah, we really
that kind of connects to my last question, which is, or the last question, which is, when will AR glasses work for digital fashion?
Well, if you
Maybe,
look at phones,
I guess they sort of do in some ways. I mean, how do you think about augmented reality? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for me, it's also the future. Like, ever since, during my graduation, I already thought about this idea of being able to switch your look every single second if you wanted to, right? But just having this AR glass and seeing yourself, and then being able to curate that. So I feel like, in a way, like right now, what we see, the Snapchat lens is the body filter that we can already have, which I think is very exciting. I mean, if that technology that's in our phones gets translated into glasses, then I don't think it's going to be long before we're walking around with AR glasses that will be able to see someone and then see their AR look or AR look over them. And they'll be able to wear, and finally, for me, like, as a designer, I love wearing like crazy things like headpieces and all these things, but in physical reality, that's just really uncomfortable. So if that could be AR, I think I would also express.
So you think we might see each other looking quite normal, and then we'd wear the glasses and we'd see this insane kind of expression, maybe going up 20 feet above our heads, and sort of mad hats and helmets, and
why not? Yeah, I mean, it's funny, right? It's fun to explore that, and where are the boundaries? Yeah.
There's this Pasolini, who's a great Italian director. He sort of, for some of his films set thousands of years ago, was all these hats that denoted hierarchy and power, and the taller your hat was, the more powerful you were. So perhaps we'll be able to sense people's status by checking out the size of their headgear, how high up they go, maybe 20 stories with AR.
That's great.
Well, I mean, I think what you guys are doing awesome. I've been following you guys for years, and yeah, I guess the ultimate last question is, what can we expect from Fabricant in the next kind of 12 months? Where do you want it to be in 12 months?
Yeah, we want to create like the biggest co-collaborative collection that ever existed, digital fashion, but also physical fashion wise. Like, we'd love to just like create this massive effort so we can all dress the metaverse together and create microeconomies for any designer who wants to set up shop within our platform. They're able to, and we want to really push the boundaries on what's possible in digital fashion. So we'll be working with Unreal Engine 5 and MetaHumans, and we'll try to bring digital fashion more.
Oh, you're starting to explore MetaHumans. That's so cool.
Yes. So we have like meta-human models. And yeah, we're going to do something with that. And our show will be launched. The first show of our first season will be launched in November. And ever from then, we're just going to keep on developing our collections until the platform opens for anybody to come in and create digital fashion and sell, wear, and trade it. So yeah, many more shows to come. So if you want to keep up to date with that, then yeah, you can follow us on any social media platform. We're on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter, we're very active. So yeah, I think there's a lot of more things to come, and very excited to see what's going to happen this year. It's going to be crazy.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm gonna gradually run away from you as a.
Thank you for giving me the space.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much.